Let me share my screen. It's our third edition of the Ticket Off the Struggle Bus. And this is going to be the third installment, which is we're calling it active accountability. And so, there's a difference between active and passive accountability. And we're going to be talking about what's the difference. But before we do that, I want to do like a recap on current reality. And so we're going to stop for a minute here and we're going to really kind of break it down because this is a work in progress. And there's a lot of thought that's gone into about 20 years worth of thought that's gone into this actually. And I'm adapting some of this from some other work that I've done and just some truths that I have found to be true. And then we rolled out the first two workshops, and then we had Florida and we had Thanksgiving. We just had some stuff happening. And so I was like, I felt like there wasn't enough, but I wasn't sure what was next. And it really was the clear action plan on how to move forward together. And I think that's a really critical piece. So a couple of ground rules here as we're starting this workshop is there, there's no judgment here, but we want there's no like um, demeaning judgment, but I think there needs to be accurate assessment. And there's also a difference between condemnation and conviction, right? Because we should feel some conviction if we keep showing up saying we want this and we're showing up another way. But there's not a condemnation aspect to that. Like, you're never going to get it. Why can't you figure this out? That's condemnation. But there should be a conviction, and it has a feeling, and it may not feel super awesome because you're not meeting the mark that you set. And so there has to be, when you have active accountability and when you have that conviction, it should be therapeutic. Like it should engage you to move forward, and it shouldn't be something that keeps you down or beats you up, you know. But there's that distinction is really critical, conviction and condemnation. And so now is what I want to do here is I want to be really curious and open with you guys and really trying to figure out like what we did and what you learned and then what's current reality since then. Like maybe some of you put this stuff into place and you're doing great, or maybe not much has changed. You just have a little bit more ideas about what's possible, right? So, and I know, well, I don't know I don't have anybody that I've selected to go first, really. Um, but so I'm just curious as getting an overview of what actually happened since the last time we met. What did you want to have happen and what did happen? You know, if they're, unless they were the same thing. Maureen, you seem to be smiling. So did you have an idea after the last workshop that here's what I'm going to do? Or was it just, I'm not sure what's next. Let's just keep listening. What do you think?
Well, I definitely had an idea of what I
Okay.
wanted to have, accomplish. And
What was
just,
that specifically?
well, I wanted to drop some weight.
Okay. So I'm lose some
Specifically,
pounds. Uh-huh.
yeah, lose some weight. Specifically, I had a goal of my first goal is 5 pounds.
5 pounds.
Uh-huh.
How much
And
total weight do you desire to lose?
I'd like to lose 10 pounds.
10 pounds. Okay, great. And there's no judgment on the number. It's it's the number. You just know what is the number. You know it. It's in there. It's 10.
Yeah.
And so if you were to lose 10, something about that would be a preference for you.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
it's not
Yes.
like it's right. Yeah,
I can
listen to
see
you.
it.
Listen to you. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. It's not right or wrong. It's not good or bad. It's just
Mhm.
that would tickle you. That would be
Oh my God.
wonderful.
Yes,
Wonderful.
absolutely.
Yep.
So I have not accomplished that goal of the
Okay.
5
Yep.
yet. And I want you to know, Craig, that you put something in my head that was really powerful.
Okay.
And I wanted to share this with all of
Yes.
you
Excellent.
because it hit me really hard. And this was in Florida at the leadership, Clearwater. And I had made the comment about getting back into fat burn was really hard. Do you
Hmm.
remember what you said to me? Oh my gosh, it
Go
was
ahead.
powerful. You said to me, "Is that a story I'm telling myself?" And I mean, you probably didn't see my mouth drop. But I was like, "Oh, wow. That is so spot on, Craig. It is. It's a story. I'm telling myself that it's hard." And so that mindset really shifted for me, and I just wanted to share that.
That's great.
Am I perfect? No, but I tell you, I'm a lot more mindful, and I'm going for it. I am.
Yeah.
You
Well,
guys?
we're not using the word perfect, but we
No.
can use the words like precise, right?
Mm,
Because
mhm,
there are certain things like when you're driving down the road. Now, is perfection that you never get within 3 inches of the median? I don't know.
mhm,
What is perfect driving? I don't know. But precise driving is you're not driving in the wrong lane, you follow the speed limit, you don't run red lights. I mean, but what's a perfect driver compared to another perfect driver? Are they both just adequate? They're just, you just need to be safe and adequate, right? Now, the key is with driving, there's adequate and adequate. Well, when you're on the 5 and 1, the 5 and 1 is a precise thing. It's a you could define it and say it's this and it's not that, right? And so it's not about driving perfection, but when you're on the 5 and 1, we don't even have to say a precise 5 and 1. We say, well, I could say actual 5 and 1 because usually it's 5 and 1 ish, or it has 6 things involved, but those things are variables, right? And so we have to be really clear on what it is that we're doing. And initially, when you're really clear and you agree to it, it'll feel like a lot of weight. But when you're moving forward, that clarity will be therapeutic. Because when you're playing like the game of tennis, the term I use is dusting the lines. So if you've ever watched clay tennis, there's clay. And when they play a few rounds of tennis, there's all this red clay that crowds the lines, and you can't see if the ball's in or out because the lines aren't visible. So a guy comes out with a little broom and he dusts off the lines, right? Because it's not that you're bad if the ball goes out and you're good if the ball goes in, but that ball is out and that ball is in. I'm not a bad server because I hit out. That was a foul ball. It was out. It was out of bounds. But I have to be really clear on where the lines are so I can say out, in. So if we're not precise about what we're doing and we're not clear about what we're doing, and we let ourselves off the hook all the time, or we call a ball that was out in, that doesn't serve us. I've got clients that'll say, "Well, I'm maintaining," and then we'll talk in there 5, 8 minutes, and they'll say they finds out they're up 8 pounds, and I'm just really, I mean, I've asked them. I said, "Oh, Eli, I'm confused because I know what the word maintaining means, and I have a definition of that, and I don't know if my definition is different than your definition. When you say you're maintaining your weight, what do you mean by that? Is it puts in a 10-pound window? Well, they're maintaining. That's great." But to me, if they're up 6 pounds and then up 8 pounds and then up 10 pounds, what about that is maintaining? I mean, they're maintaining a weight gain, I guess. But I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to be clear and not judgmental at all and not condemning at all, but clarifying. So thank you for that. And the other thing too, Maureen, when you think about this is that conversation about it being a story, I've kind of developed that thought a little bit more. And the idea is that what if that's the wrong measuring stick? What if getting into fat burn was just a technical thing? It wasn't easy. It wasn't hard. That was like a ruler. That's the wrong measuring stick. This is the process and it's not hard or easy. It's just a specific set of actions. There's no drama in there. There's presence, actually. In Florida, we learned a lot about the difference between drama and presence. And good and bad is a lot of drama, right? But just a sequence of choices is more about presence. So, how about you, Brian? Give us kind of an update. I know a little bit just because I saw you, whatever that night was, Friday night,
Yeah.
Saturday night, whatever it was. So you have updated me a little bit, but I'm curious because I don't know if everybody else knows about that, that you came away with a plan and you were pretty, I would say, energetic about it. And then you had some things that happened. Maybe some of those were a surprise. Maybe they weren't. I don't know. And then, so why don't you bring us up to speed on kind of how things went? And again, there's no judgment here. This is just, we want to clarify the facts of what happened so we can learn and go, that doesn't have to happen again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you and I talked. I had fallen off the bus the first day
Hmm.
uh, with work situations, right? I was trying to be there in Clearwater and learning, and um, kept getting calls. Nobody was there to cover me, and it stressed me out. Fell off, and I fell off big.
Hmm.
Uh, Out of the 23 pounds I had lost from August 1st, I've gained about 20 of that back.
Okay.
So it
Yep.
it has not happened. My goal was to lose about 38 to 40,
Okay.
get back where I originally was, and fell off big time.
Yeah. Yeah. And so a couple things is that there was and I may have said the same thing to you. You did have some logistical details regarding work, um, where it was really stressful. It's a story we tell ourselves. I know the logistics were different than what you expected,
Yeah.
right?
And
And
it
you,
hasn't changed either. I'm getting phone calls at 4 in the morning, 11
yeah,
at night, all the
I
time.
wouldn't expect it to change. I would say, what if, Brian, that was par for the course? That
Yeah.
was the norm until it's not. When I call clients every week and I say, how you doing? How's work? Oh, it's stressful. I'm busy, 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 overwork. And every week was like that. And after a year, I said, I don't think your work is busy, 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 and all that. I think it is just that. But the story you're telling yourself is it's busy, 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 and stressful and all that. It sounds like it's always that way. So maybe it's just normal. And she's
It
like,
did. It didn't used to be. That's what's
okay,
bad.
so
I've done
it's
this for
changed.
29 years, and it's just happened all of a sudden. And
Okay.
it's people shortages is the main thing.
Right.
So
So that's really good details, and that is um, valuable details. Right now, you're in a season where you're doing the work of multiple people. So then you can in your brain say, this isn't going to be forever. I mean, I got a blister on my shoe, but I've only got to walk a half a mile. It's not like I'm always going to wear these shoes.
right.
Right? And so eventually they'll hire somebody, or you'll quit, or you'll set clearer boundaries, or I don't know what'll happen, or it'll just keep going the way it is. I don't know. And that'll be your norm now, and you'll figure it out. I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but something. But right now, I can see that it's different. And so that allowed you to feel stress and feel these different things. Yep. And so then when we went there, then there were, because what I recall is you decided you were going to start your program on Sunday. I can't remember when the last workshop was. Maybe it was a Friday or something.
Yep.
And then you're like, well, I'm going to wait and start with my wife, right?
Yep.
So the first thing that happened is you made a plan, but it wasn't well thought through, and so immediately you changed your plan,
Yep. And it
which,
was so much easier when she did it with me the first time.
yep, yep. Well, that's a story you're telling yourself.
Yeah.
Um, because when you hear yourself say easy or hard, just stop and go, what did I just say? Because it does it have to be easy to be healthy, or does it have to be hard to be healthy, or is it just what's necessary, right?
Yep.
I mean, because I don't. So how do some people do it? If it's hard for everybody, how do some people do it? Maybe maybe they didn't have that narrative, and it was just like matter of fact, right? This story we tell ourselves is so vital, and this is a lot of work that Dr. A talked about Saturday, and what we talked about in Florida is we have the fiction and we have the nonfiction. We have the stuff that we can point to, and then we have what that means. And boy, howdy, what that means is very subjective based upon what kind of circumstances we had that day. So you said you're going to do it with your wife, and I agree. It does seem to be there's an element of, and that's why we're doing this together, by the way, because what you're saying is true. When we are doing something new, we won't call it hard, something different, and we have buddies along the way, we do tend to have more success.
Yep.
You can call that easier if you want, but it's definitely more successful. And then then I don't know, something happened and then it was pushed off. And I when I we got to that event, I said, did you connect with your, I mean, the number one person probably in your health journey would be your health coach. It could be close to your wife or spouse. It depends on the relationship you have. But ideally everybody in Optavia has an actual health coach, like that's on the payroll. Do you realize that when you place an order, you're paying your coach about $100 a month? That's 25 bucks per 15 minutes. I don't know if you thought about that, but you're paying them to coach you. Your clients are paying you to coach them. I don't know that it does us a lot of good to say our services are free. Because if they're free, where's the value? That's just an idea that I'm working on right now and trying to struggle with. What if the fuelings were the fuelings and our services were about $100? Now they're going to show up to their coaching sessions because they're paying 25 bucks for that 15 minutes. But I digress. So, and then I said, have you told I'm going into some detail because I think these details matter. And you said, well, I was going to wait to talk to her when I got to the event. But then circumstances that you didn't predict happened and you weren't able to make that connection. And then pretty soon we were at the party and there was celebration and there was lots of um, opportunities, right? And so then all that happened. And so it's just good to just clarify, here's a sequence of things. And so we can, when you're coming up with your next plan, you account for the stories you're telling yourself, the sequence of events, the partnership, the proper preparation. And even the next time you try, you may not get your recipe right, but you're going to have every time you're going to have greater insight that you don't have to keep putting uh, the 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 wrong spices in your recipe and getting the same yucky flavor, right? How about you, Heather? Or yeah, there you are. Um, Thank you, by the way, Brian. Heather, what update us on then up to now and where are you now?
I started out strong after our second session,
Okay.
and my mantra was, "This is the way," because I'm a big Mandalorian fan.
Okay, good.
So, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I started out, and I was bulletproof at the beginning, absolutely bulletproof. And which I've said before, my downfall is lack of sleep. And my daughter went to on a school trip to Japan, and she was texting all hours because she was 14 hours ahead, and I didn't want to miss anything, and I'm just a light sleeper anyway. So I once my sleep started getting bad, and then my planning, and that was always my downfall. So I'd go, 5 hours before fueling,
Mhm.
or I didn't have a lean and green, and I'm trying to on the spot come up with something, and it's crazy. Once I go a little off, it is hard to put the brakes on. So I know that about myself. So there were times when I caught myself. There was a moment I had, and then I had a death of my one of my best friends. Her mom died, and it was a lot of emotional stuff going on. And I was on my way to Bojangles to get a chicken biscuit, and I was almost there. And I thought, well, Craig's not going to know. Nobody's going to know because we weren't meeting again. Because when I have accountability, I am by the book. Sorry, in my car, my timer went off.
Yeah.
I'm by the book, but I drove right past Bojangles, and I drove another 10 minutes to Diced, and I got a salad with double chicken, and I was right on plan. So it was a good save. So I'm down a fraction of what I wanted to get down, but I'm down a little bit, but I still have, it's like 20% down, 8% to go. But
Mhm.
there was definitely some things I was proud of, and then there was some weak moments, and just planning. If I
Mhm.
don't plan my lean and greens and do my chili on the weekend, my life is 10 times harder. So I
Yeah.
know where I've gone wrong. And
Well, and that's really good. A proper assessment so that you can rework your structural tension chart, which you may or may not had one of these. We're going to develop structural tension charts and we're going to have a really clear plan. And then we're going to, those secondary actions. So structural tension, you have desired outcome, current reality. So this is the outcome of what you're, if it's a recipe, this is the food you want to make. This is current reality. And the secondary actions are the cooking instructions and the ingredients. And if it keeps coming out sour, we've got to change the ingredients, or we got to change something on those secondary actions, or we're going to cook the same thing and it's going to be sour every time. And so your awareness that when you don't have a plan, you're not as successful as when you do have a plan. And you also said that your when you are sleep deprived, it's more challenging for you to keep it together because your brain doesn't have all the energy that it needs. I'm not saying it's harder, just saying it's different, right? And there was also um, a acute circumstance that probably wasn't going to be forever, right? So it's not like your daughter's always going to text you in the middle of the night, and or if she did, you would put it on do not disturb and you would say, sorry, I gotta have my sleep. Because, right, I mean, otherwise you're going to be a zombie. So, but so those are different things. And then you had to justify, is me hearing her text message right now in the middle of my sleep that important, or can I have a nice chunky update when I wake up in the morning? Right? So it's perspective. I have to have this now. It's so important to me, or I can get those in the morning and then I'll be like well slept. And that'll be so these are all just analysis where you're going back. And again, it's curiosity without judgment, right? So we're not saying this was wrong. We're just going, oh, well, this seems like this didn't fit properly, and I could change that. Yeah. That's excellent. And Dawn, how about you? What's an update on your progress or where you're at? And actually, I don't really know. I know you were doing super good and you were a lot of the catalyst for this, but I don't know how's it been going since then.
Yeah, well, we kind of, yes, I feel like I had a jump start on everybody. So kind of an unfair advantage. Because Craig and I were pounding this out probably 2 months
Yeah.
before he unleashed it to everybody else. So I had been working my 5-in-1 plan all of September, all of October. My goal was to head to Clearwater at 125. I didn't quite make it. I was 126.6.
Okay.
So a little short,
Mhm.
but felt pretty amazing about getting that far, and really, really felt really solid in my accomplishment, and in just reinforcing in me again that yes, this works for me if I work it. And so changing that story I had in my head about, it doesn't work for it. It must not work for me anymore. I must be broken. It must be,
Right.
so really kind of dispelled all of that, which was awesome. Since we've gotten home, this morning I'm at 128.6. So I'm no longer doing 5-in-1.
Got it.
My goal for the month of December is to stay in that 120 something range. So
So 125
under
to 130.
130.
So the first two
And
digits will be a 1 and a 2.
mhm,
Okay.
yes, that's my goal for the month of December.
Okay.
And then, having been at 126, which I hadn't been at in a really, really long time, I don't know. I might want to reassess and maybe take it down a little bit more in January. So kind of
Go
looking at
further.
maybe hitting it again in January and maybe take it down to 120. So we'll kind of see how, I don't know. I guess at 62, I don't necessarily want to be a swimsuit model, but I want to feel healthy. And I just feel like, yeah, there's a little more fluff I could still probably shed. So
62, Don. You
that's
look
kind of where I'm
fantastic.
at. I feel like thank you. I brought home a nasty bug of some sort. So we've been recuperating too for the last couple weeks.
Mhm.
So that's kind of been a drain, but I feel like the process of really going back to disciplining myself with my eating again and really precisely working 5-in-1. Now that I'm not doing 5-in-1, I still feel kind of a sense of discipline, which I love, because there for a while before September, when I recommitted, I would find that I was kind of all over the board. If I started eating something I shouldn't, or that I was telling myself I shouldn't, that
Yeah.
was not that healthy, that I knew was not going to lead my health in the right direction, a 1 would turn into 2, would turn into 3, until, where now I feel like I can, like in Thanksgiving, I had my piece of pie. I enjoyed it thoroughly, but I didn't feel the need to have to go back and get another piece and the next day look for something else sweet and, down the road. So that feels like a really nice shift as well, that I feel like I've regained. Food is not the dominant force in my life right now, where it was for a while, a long time.
So good.
Okay.
That's
Kind of a
gotta
long,
have,
sorry.
no, that's great. And that's gotta have like tangible, like psychological bonus points, like throughout the day. You're like, yeah, I'm the boss. Yeah, yeah. Oh, so good. So good. Thank you guys for that update. And I think that what we're gonna do today is gonna be the answer to how to have a more clear plan. So let me got a couple slides here I want to share with you. So driving growth with active accountability. So that's the word we're going for. Active accountability and objective measures, right? So we talked about having a clear plan. So we want to grow in our personal growth, and we're going to use active accountability with objective measures. So active accountability is doing this together. Objective measures is going to be structural tension charts, right? So accountability is the glue that ties commitment to results. And I think that was a fun quote that I found. And I wonder if you guys realize like the difference between passive accountability. I didn't come up with the term active accountability. One of my other coach buddies in my ministry said it. He goes, what we do with our ministry is we do active accountability. And I went, what's that word? And what do you think is the difference between what I would term accountability groups without accountability? I would say is passive accountability. And then there's active accountability. What do you guys think is the difference? Like, how does it feel different? Anybody want to give some thoughts?
I see active as being involved, taking ownership, just
Mhm.
where passive is more kind of staying in the background.
Okay.
Not really. That's the way I see
Have you
passive.
guys been part of an accountability group before? Like, and then what did that accountability, what did that mean? I talked to a lady today. It was a coach explorer or something. I did something today. I don't know. And it was a celebration, and she said that she's part of a spiritual group, and it's a year long, and this and that, and it's accountability group. And I said, well, what does accountability mean to you? And she described the group's confidentiality. That's what she described. She didn't describe accountability. She said, whatever we say here stays here. So that's confidentiality. But that didn't, I was like, what's accountability? What? And I think this is a slippery word, and we do not like it, what I think it is. So what do you think, Brian?
So I agree. Active accountability would be me reaching out to my coaches and getting that accountability and checking in each day to get back into fat burn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Compared to passive, I was just going to talk to them when I got there. I was already going to be on day 2.
Yep. Yep. Those are some great terms. Yeah. Most groups, the way that I see it is if, uh, let's say that I said that this week I'm going to do XYZ, and I didn't. So I say, hey, this week I'm going to drink, you know, 8 glasses of water every day. Great. So the next week, I'm checking in with them. I'm their accountability partner, and I'm okay. So I'm looking back. It's really delicate how you say this, I think. I'm looking back at what you said last week, and you said, I'm going to do this, 8 glasses of water. And so current reality, what happened? What? And if they say they did, well, I only drank 8, I had 9. Fantastic. Looks like whatever plan you had was effective. Now, if they say I had 7, and I'll say, oh, well, better luck next time. I can't even hardly say it because it just doesn't make sense to me. Better luck next time, brother. I'll pray for you. Either that's passive accountability, rather than what I think it should be is, okay, well, would you like to talk through that and see what was missing? And that's the key phrase there, because what they wanted and what they got, and again, I'll be really clear, what they wanted and what they got has nothing to do with me. I'm not telling them to drink any water, right? What they wanted and what they got were two different things. So then I'm going to say, what do you think was missing? And a lot of times, the guys in my accountability group, in my ministry, they'll say, well, I'm going to try harder this year. I'll get it done this year. Or they'll be, reading every week. Oh, I'll get to my homework this week. And I said, well, that's the same plan you had last week. It was to get it done. And then 7 days later, you came here and you just told me you didn't get it done. So if you leave here today with the same plan you had last week, you'll have, how can you have a different result? So let's look at the plan and figure out what was missing so that next week you still may not get it done, but you had a different plan. And we need to keep upgrading the plan until the outcome you have is what you want. That's active accountability. And it's curious without judgment, and it's partnering. There's conviction, but not condemnation. So this is a nuanced thing where we're truly being autonomy supportive to what they said they wanted to do. However, they didn't have the right plan, or they didn't activate the plan they had to get the outcome they wanted. So there's learning that has to happen. And this is, I mean, to me, this is a joy. This is like, well, I came up with the idea I wanted 8 glasses, and so I got to look at my plan. Maybe I got to, that particular plan for me, well, I want to drink a certain amount of water every day. My first plan was to have a water bottle. So I'd fill it up and I'd put it on my desk and I'd drink it. Then I noticed that I came to work the next day, my office, this was empty. So I baked that plan for a week. Guess how much water I drank? Wasn't very much. So I had to look at my plan and go, having a water bottle at my desk is not enough. I need to fill it up before I come to my desk. And when I did, the water bottle that was filled, miraculously, I drank all the water I wanted to drink. So that was a matter of like testing it and improving my recipe until now we move on to the next thing, right? All right, so I'm going to bust through these last few slides here and we're going to get right to it. So here's some statistics. Active accountability, 87% of when you have active accountability, you have success. I think the stat's higher, but that's the stat I found. And then when you measure your results, you have 92% as you produce the objective results when you measure. And look at this last one. When you partner with somebody else, it maximizes the growth. You grow, it's 95% when you're in partnership with somebody else. So you combine all three of those together, active accountability, having something that you can measure, and then partnering with somebody else as a partner. And we're talking, I mean, those are all A's. That's serious, right? And so the action plan is pick a time frame. I think it has to be more than 4 or 5 days. I think it could be 2 weeks. I think 30 days. If you think 30 days is going to be hard, well, is that a story you're telling yourself? I don't know. And have it be really clear. What is the 30-day objective? And I'm going to be really stickler on this. It can't be, well, I'm going to, kind of, I would say, I'm going to make healthier choices through the next 30 days. What does that even mean? I mean, that's just so fuzzy. It's not helpful. But so have it be a really clear thing, what you're going to do. And if you've been struggling staying on the 5 and 1, or you've been struggling with saying no when the temptation or the craving or that desire comes up, that I think is what you got to focus on, because that's your kryptonite. You got to, when I'm tempted, it says, oh, now's not a good time. You say, shut up. Now's a perfect time. So pick an active accountability partner. I came up with a new term, AAP, right? And I'm thinking you guys are going to work together on the AAPs. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 of you. So that'd be your workshop buddy. So it could be one of you guys that's in this workshop, or you can choose to use your health coach, or maybe both, right? And then I think it needs to be daily calls where you do a 5-minute, here's the 3 things that I said I was going to do, and here's what I did, right? And then the other person, here's what I did, here's what I said I'm going to do, and here's what I did do, right? And then, of course, engaging in all 4 components. Our transformation plan does have all 4 components, big picture, Right now, we're focusing on stop, challenge, choose. That's the main, it's element 3, and that's the main thing that we're focusing on is that what is that ability to stop, challenge, and when I say stop, you know what that means. It's actually pausing any further forward movement, stopping, waiting. Then, when the excitement about the craving has diminished some, then you ask yourself the challenge questions and then you make a decision. And then I think we could do a Facebook Messenger thread like we already have, and we could say, here's what's happening, or and so we can go through those details on what that looks like. And so so here's the actual accountability in action. You're going to pick your partner. You're going to set a clear objective with a structural tension chart. So what's the clear defined objective that you want? What's the desired outcome and when? And when you set a clear objective like that, you may say, I want to lose 30 pounds the next 30 days. To me, your body biology may just say no. So what's a better clear objective is I'm going to follow 5 fuelings and 1 clean and precise lean and green every day for 30 days. And the scale's going to do what the scale's going to do. You can control what goes in your mouth. What your body does with it, I don't know. Maybe you lose 30 pounds, maybe you lose 20 pounds, whatever, but you can control what goes in your mouth. Don't must be mistaken. And then accountability call. So state your objective and what's your outcome. And if you hit your mark, great. If you didn't hit your mark, what was missing? No condemnation. And then you revise your STC and then you do a do-over, right? And so that's really what it is you go back and you say, oh, you didn't hit your objective this week, or for Heather, I was lack of sleep, blah, 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 or, work got real busy. Okay, so what was missing? Go back to what's on my recipe. It's like you're going to read off, here are the ingredients that's part of my pancake mix. Oh, I forgot the flour. Duh, that's obvious now, right? And so then you go back in and you add the flour, and then you go to town making your recipe again. Oh, next week it was really chalky. I forgot the water. Okay, you got to add the water in, but you're going to figure out what's missing. Is it a specific thing, or is it just that stop, challenge, choose, where I've just allowed myself to say, I'm going to let this emotion and circumstance be the dominant force in my life, which is optional. Every time it's optional. If you tell yourself this is overwhelming, it will be true. Right? I mean, you can have a lot of things that are going on and you can say, but eating crap, it doesn't make this any better. Now I have this circumstance that's tragic and I feel like crap. That's all I did. Or maybe with alcohol. Doesn't make the thing go away. I don't feel it for a little while. And now I have the consequences of ignoring it. And the thing is still there. Right? Or whatever that might look like in your life. It just pushes it away. It doesn't make it go away. So adding those things is just your brain's way of trying to just, survive. Maybe it's a story you're telling yourself. Maybe it's not about survival, me dying. This is just some logistics I have to navigate through. Maybe I need some help. So I want to take about 5 minutes and do questions, and then we'll follow up with um, making our plans. Questions, Maureen, or any curiosity or fuzziness?
What if in your accountability partner, you have to take a picture of the scale each week
Okay,
and send it?
if that's something if if that helps you with your accountability, wonderful. If that's what you agree to as part of your plan, fantastic. And then if you don't take a picture of the scale, then your accountability partner goes, now remind me of what your plan was. And then I didn't see the thing, because probably the scale went the wrong way and they're embarrassed.
Yep.
But if the accountability action item was to take a picture, not that it went down, then take a picture no matter what happens. And just own it. And just I love Helen Irwin. She says, have a little giggle. And I just think it's wonderful terminology. Have a little giggle at how worked up you got about the whole thing. Because, oh my goodness, why are we taking ourselves so darn seriously? Isn't it hilarious how I almost wasn't going to post this photo? I mean, just enjoy the ride, folks. Heather, clarity or questions?
No, I think I'm pretty clear right now.
Mhm.
Good meeting.
Who has been have you employed any accountability or anybody else in your, because you've had some success here and you've had some progress. Is it just been you and yourself
My
or,
coach. I've
oh,
been talking to my health coach, Annette. I have. Of course, her dad passed away as well. So we've
okay.
had quite a run.
Yeah.
But yeah, so still talking to her. Talk to her the first few days and then once a week.
Okay.
Still doing
Yeah.
that.
And it's perfect. And what you just said there, I think is wise. That's a great plan. Some of these things we don't have to come up with on our own. When you decide to go into fat burn, or if your thing, to me, I think all of us were talking about, we wanted the scale to move. So we wanted to get on a precise 5-in-1 that actually was therapeutic. And if that's the case, great. Then I would say have your check-in, your accountability daily review for at least till you feel the fat burn. 4 days, usually 4 or 5. Just, I believe that's written down somewhere. We're all trained on that, right? That's what we do with our new coaches. And then after that, maybe have a little celebration, and then set up a weekly, and during your weekly call, you have your structural tension chart. Here's my objectives. This is my secondary actions. And here's the ones that I've accomplished, you know? And if you accomplished them all, but you didn't get the outcome you wanted, something's one of those ingredients is wrong, or there's something that's there that shouldn't be there, or there's something not there that should be there. And you go back to the structural tension chart and you tweak it. And if you're getting what you want, keep working the plan. It's working. Yeah. How about you, Dawn? Any confusion or any other questions?
Nope.
I
Think
love
I'm
that you
good.
guys, you all are like pretty straightforward. I'm glad that I was communicating that. I wanted to be really simple and that precision there. Now I have talked about the stories and the narrative. It's not a perfect 5-in-1, it's a precise 5-in-1, right? And it's not good or bad, right or wrong. It's what is my preference? Like, this is what I want. I don't care why. You've determined that this is what you want. And so now you're figuring out what it's going to take to get that. And so your accountability partner, the first thing I would do is when you come up with your structural tension, share it with your accountability partner and say, and this is why I say this, maybe you've never made pancakes before and they have, and you share your recipe and you're missing, I don't know about pancakes, baking powder or something, flour. And so your accountability partner will go, well, you got a solid plan here, but you're missing something. Flour. Oh, right. And so share your plan with your accountability partner and then say, is there any ambiguity here, or if I'm missing anything, or what's, you know, And they might give you like, yeah, you need to do this, or I don't know what this means. It's too vague. It might be check in once a day versus check in at 5 p.m. Maybe just checking in once a day is good enough. But I would say when you're slaying this beast, precision is valuable. And then every time that you get to that point where you're at that crossroads, you can struggle or you can battle. Are you going to battle or are you going to struggle? Because you can't do both. And every time you can choose to battle, stop, challenge, choose. And just like Dawn showed us in her example, the first time was the hardest. The next time it wasn't, or the first time was the most challenging. I used the word hard. It seemed like it had the most resistance and it felt like that internal struggle was really strong. The next time it was a little less. And maybe you were just changing the story. Maybe every time you went, you're like, yeah, dessert's not that important. Whereas the story you told yourself the first time was that dessert's really important. And so the struggle came out of the story you told yourself and believed. And then you started telling yourself a different story. I don't know, I'm seeing some nodding heads. So check your story, check the stories that we tell ourselves. Is this just a matter of sequence? Like baking pancakes. I mean, if you've got a recipe and you follow the recipe and it's well thought through, anybody can bake pancakes. That's why Betty Crocker made those cookbooks so that people that have never done it before can do it on the first try. So you're making a recipe that's like that for success. Yeah. So it sounds like Heather, you are working with somebody. Do you want to maybe pick Maureen or Dawn? Or do you guys want to pair up? You got four of you here.
Yeah, Heather's already picked Brian, so those two are working together. And Dawn and I can talk, but I do, yeah, we can check in with each other, right, Dawn?
Yep. Yeah. So your first step then is to create your structural tension with detail and share it with your partner. If you want, take a picture of it and throw it in the accountability group. And we can all look and go, I think this is good, or there might be some things missing. You might want to be a little bit more detailed here. That's, I think, the first step is let's get a really good recipe, right? And then you'll decide. I don't know if you guys want to go live on Wednesday or if you have enough time. I don't think we should go tomorrow. The earliest would be maybe Wednesday. That way we have enough time to kind of look at our each other's plans and figure out, you know, what the duration is, what the outcome is, and what are the secondary actions that you will use. What's the ingredients? I can meet Wednesday. Oh, okay. So, and then Wednesday, you guys we don't have to meet as a group, but you can chat with your accountability partner. Maybe it's a quick text, you got this, bro, in the morning, right? And then have a clear, we will have a conversation at this, maybe it's a specific time that you both agree on. But I would take the gloves off and I would hammer this. Like I would go all out and there'll be like, because every time you have that little bit of maybe, then you're telling yourself that maybes are part of my plan. And Dawn talked about that she wanted to build a reputation with keeping her commitments to herself, and that didn't happen with maybes. Yeah. So I hope you guys, I feel like you guys haven't gotten offended at all. I feel like this is total information and we're all learning here. But I just believe in the process and that you guys have what it takes. I'm certain of it. And so as you're thinking through this, you know, that stop, challenge, choose is the in your structural tension, stop, challenge, choose is part of almost every secondary action. So how do you get from here to there? Stop, challenge, choose your way there. And you're going to have to be the boss, you know? And I'm telling you, I'm going to be really clear, in the next period of time, whatever it is, the end of the month, whatever, you're going to have a lot of things that'll come up in your life that you're going to be able to tell yourself, well, I was going to do it, but this. None of those are true unless you make them true. They just aren't. But you're going to have a lot, not because it's actually a lot, but you're going to be hyper aware of it. Just trust me, it's the way it goes. But it's not going to be harder or easier. It just is. So when those themes come along, I would actually have a little laugh and go, like, oh my goodness. I just almost told myself that this was a reason that I could go off. But I remember what we talked about. And this is a reason for me to take great care of myself. Because you're not torturing yourself. You're actually honoring yourself. You really are. All right, you guys. I can't wait to see what we all learn through this. This is going to be fun. Hopefully this
Thank
will
you,
really
Craig.
take off. Yeah, you bet, Brian. And I'm available, Brian, as well. I know you're going to talk with Heather, but if you want to, you know, the Zoom number that you was my cell phone. So if you wanted to call and just say, hey, what's up? You know, I'm happy to, and I'll be reading your guys' posts in the chat. So,
Sounds good.
okay.
Thank you.
See you guys. Good night.